With fascinating RPG Clair Obscur Expedition 33 just around the corner, we sit down with actors Ben Starr and Jennifer English to chat behind-the-scenes anecdotes, lasting friendships, and the correct pronunciation of French swear words in today's episode of the PlayStation Access Podcast. Hello and welcome to the PlayStation Access Podcast, the official podcast of PlayStation UK. I am your host, Rob Pearson. We are joined today by Rosie Caddick.
Hello, everyone.
And two very special guests. Firstly, returning guest, star of Final Fantasy 16 and just all the games now. It's Ben Starr, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Ben.
Surely you should refer to me as Benjamin M. Starr.
Benjamin M. Starr.
Yeah.
I'm the star of the Christmas Maze.
I was going
course.
to say, I'm amazed you didn't introduce me as the star of the Christmas Maze. But
Well,
then my mortal enemy,
I don't know how
Robert S. Pearson,
you
would
feel
do
about that, Ben. And I want to, just talk about your video game work.
Okay.
That you're
But I have said
rightly proud
I
of.
have said this to you before. I am recognised more for my work on the Christmas Maze than I am for the entire body of work that I've done in video games.
Well, it was
what
iconic.
What are you talking about?
I genuinely don't believe that. Do you know the Christmas Maze?
No.
Well, we should introduce our second very special guest, making her PlayStation Access Podcast debut.
Oh, yeah.
You will know her from Elden Ring. You'll know her from Divinity Original Sin 2. You'll also know her as the voice of Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3 and now the voice of Mael from Expedition 33. It's Jennifer English, everybody.
Hello.
That felt like the announcement felt like it needed a cheer.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Ben's
Feels
just
big.
video games.
He's just a video, he's just a guy. Just a
Happy
man.
to be back. Happy to be committed to the channel.
Well, jokes aside, it's a real pleasure having you both on the podcast and to chat to you.
Thanks.
We're going to be talking a lot about Expedition 33. I've been playing it. Rosie's been playing it. I think it's amazing. But I wanted to kick things off by asking you both, because I think since 2023, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3 both come out that year. It feels like it was a huge year for RPGs, but in particular, it feels like we've got this new wave of video game celebrity that has emerged, and I feel that the two of you are sort of like at the forefront of this, like these actors who are able to make this connection with fans on like a deeper level than I think I've ever seen since working in games. And I just wanted to get both of your take on that. Have you noticed that? Have you felt that? And has it impacted on your lives at all since Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy 16?
I mean, yes, and yes.
Completely.
Yeah. I mean, our lives have completely changed. But I think that is entirely due to the fans falling in love with the character. Like it has been amazing to see people resonate with us as people, but personally I think it's because it's the testament to the writing and the characters that have been written. Ultimately we just say the words, right? We get up and we act them out, but I think it's what's been great is with Clive and obviously with Shadowheart, it's been this whirlwind really, and been welcomed into the industry in a way that I could never have comprehended.
You just never know. With games, you just... Yeah, we have kind of broken new ground in the UK anyway. And you just never know with which projects what's gonna hit like that.
Yeah.
And I certainly had no idea.
Yeah.
With Baldur's Gate 3 at all, and we were kind of recording over lockdown, so we were very isolated, and then it came out and all of a sudden I'm getting recognised on the tube. It's mental.
Yeah it's I was I was recognised on the platform of Heathrow Terminal 5 and I was just about to leave and someone went, Are you Ben Starr? And I was like, yes, I am. Wow. Wow, I've never been so amazed. And it was that moment where it happens very rarely. Obviously, it happens when you're in a place where there are lots of people who enjoy those games.
Yeah.
And often, we do go to those events where, people are appreciative of the work that you've done. But when it is on the street, it's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's also really cool because a lot of kind of my partner's friends know who I am, and they're like, someone's a really big fan of of Balatro. Can you sign something for them? And I just think that's so weird. But also, I think what it is there is a community of actors who are really kind of friends now. We were friends, before, as we were working on this game, but we knew about each other beforehand. And that moment where we're really just trying to be supportive and see what we can do in this space, because we don't make these games. We're a part of the making of these games, but we can also be vectors of joy for people. And people want to fall in love with these games and these characters. And if we can help that and help spread the word of why playing games and being a part of these games is an endeavor that is worth your time, then that's, I think, something that we can help to do. And hopefully as time goes on, we can do that more and more and more. Like we both presented the Future Game Show Spring Showcase year on, year off, and it's cool that we don't just get to be in games, we get to talk about them and present them, and that's really neat.
Well, this is the thing, like we've had sort of, I guess you would call them video game celebrities before, with the likes of Nolan North, Troy Baker, but it feels like both of you and many of your fellow actors are actively engaging in these communities in a way that we haven't seen before. Is that to do with the characters that you're playing and the bond that the fans are creating in them? What is it about that bond that makes it so strong, do you think?
It's everything. I think, why wouldn't you with a community like ours? Like, certainly for Baldur's Gate 3, it's such an I think because fantasy RPG requires a level of intelligence and creativity and openness. And I think it attracts, therefore, a very lovely group of people. Why wouldn't I want to communicate with those people? Why wouldn't I want to share, the process? Like, they're wonderful. Why would I shy away from that? Why would you shy away from that? They're incredible. So we've been really lucky, I think.
There's a back and forth as well, I feel, with the fandoms. I'm very lucky to have been kind of adopted as the weird uncle of the Final Fantasy community, really.
The weird uncle of every community, frankly.
Uncle Starr.
I love
Uncle Starr.
I love it. Like I played the protagonist of Final Fantasy 16, but I think more people know me for my love of Final Fantasy 8 than they do for that. Like I really like to speak as a fan of the series and of video games in general. I spend my time, when I'm not making video games, playing video games and listening to the conversations around them. So I'm constantly immersed in that, sometimes to an unhealthy degree because I think maybe my mind needs to take a break. But I think people respond to how engaged we are, not just as performers, but how we are with the fans. And it's been amazing to see, what you've been doing with Aliona and how you have built this incredible community of people who are doing art, not just of your characters, but of the way that you have interacted with it. There are so many in-jokes. In the same way there are so many in-jokes of me, dressed as Tifa, or Clive dressed like... I'm in a game coming up called Hades 2, and people were drawing my character from Hades 2 as my character from Final Fantasy 16 and combining them together. And I don't think anywhere else do you get such an active, amazing thing. The artwork that I've seen from Warframe, and already now, Expedition 33. I mean, the Mael artwork that I've seen come out of just the trailers alone is stunning. And I can't wait to see what they draw coming up, and we'll certainly engage with that. And if you care that much about something, I want to care about it as much as you do.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time as well to create these pieces of art, and also like when someone does interact with you, like a community member, it can take a lot of courage as well, because people idolize you guys. So to have the courage to approach you and to show that appreciation and love, like, I don't blame you that you're just like, yes, thank you, hello.
Yes, please. But also, you want to know that your work has done something, and especially inspiring people, as you say, with the art. Like, that's what we want to do as artists. We want to inspire more art. Like, you want to create that butterfly effect, and especially with like the younger generations, like, you don't know what's going to shape new artists.
It's like, I've worked with a couple of creative directors and narrative designers recently who they came up through fan fiction. They are now heads of studios, or they are leading writers on massive franchises, because back in the day they were playing video games and they were writing fan fiction around those characters. Like, it's such amazing fertile ground for it.
Yeah.
And if, you know, we are, I know we're sitting here and we're talking about Expedition 33, and, you know, the entire creative team of Sandfall could be sitting here talking about their work as well. And hopefully they will get their flowers for how amazing this video game is.
They absolutely should. Yeah.
And because they are just brilliant and amazing. But it is also great that we have the opportunity as ambassadors for these characters to let the people who play these games know that it's really okay to love it, and that we love it as much as you do. And as long as we can validate their love, I think that's kind of what we try and do. And I think maybe that's why people have resonated with us, because ultimately it starts with the characters, and then they see how much we care, and it's almost just throw some fertilizer on there, go, love it more, love it more, love it more.
Passion squared.
It is passion squared.
So let's talk about Expedition 33 then, because you're both coming off the back of, you know, iconic performances in both Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy 16. We've talked about how these are characters that really resonate with the fans. People fall in love with Clive, with Shadowheart. We've now got Mael and we've got Verso in Expedition 33. We're going to be tiptoeing around some spoilers a little bit, especially with your character, Ben.
Yes.
So don't worry if you're listening to this. If you're listening to this and you haven't yet played Expedition 33, there's going to be no story spoilers in
I'm
this
not
podcast.
going to spoil anything.
No spoilers.
We will ask you no questions. That is why,
No
Ben.
questions, Ben.
You will sit there and smile.
I'm going,
pop.
I'm going to answer mine as Andy Serkis. Hi.
But I want to just ask you both, how did you first get involved with the project? What first attracted you to working on Expedition 33?
Shall I take this one?
I think because our journey is similar but different, and I really like that.
Yeah.
So
it is similar but different.
It's similar but different. But you please go.
I will please go.
Thank you. Please go.
So, I wanted to be really intentional after Baldur's Gate 3,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be a bit fussy actually, and I wanted to follow up with something incredible. So I wasn't going for a lot of projects. I wasn't auditioning. I was just kind of going, I'll wait until it's right, and got this script through and went, exactly this. This is the kind of art I want to be involved in. This is stunning. So and I auditioned. I completely forgot to do it. ADHD, and did it on my bed at 2:00 in the morning, and was like, sorry. I was like, can you do the beep?
We'll do the beep.
We'll do the beep. I was like, oh dear. Whacked it out.
The one rule was to not swear.
It's like 5 minutes in. Sorry.
She's so real and down to earth. She swears just like me.
Like a sailor. They listened to it. I think Guillaume and Jen didn't know, like they weren't given names. So it was a blind audition, I suppose. And I was just really lucky that I was what they had in mind. And I think they were I'm a bit offended actually, because I think they were both playing Baldur's Gate 3 and didn't recognise me. So that was good, I think. And then got the part, which I was thrilled about. And then I found out who else was in it, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Can I
What a
take
shame.
it back?
Can I?
Yeah.
Backsies.
And then you did,
No, I
and
did.
then I had to go and get you back.
Yeah.
Mine's kind of similar. Mine was a blind audition. I was actually auditioning for the trailer actually that you see for Expedition 33, the first ever one that came out that got everyone really hyped. And it was for the character of Verso. It was voiced by this character called Verso. And so I was given the image of him and said that I'll be narrating this trailer. And I just did it. I mean, I think a lot of actors are like, how do I get into voice acting? Do I need really good microphones? I auditioned on my really like at home on my sofa, little microphone, just did it, USB, recorded it, sent it off. You don't need really expensive equipment.
Not at all.
I also understand that I'm saying this coming off the back of a very important performance, but it was a blind audition. This wasn't people being like, well, you've played Clive, so you'll get all the stuff. It was just completely blind. And I did some of the lines from the trailer explaining about the paintress and stuff, and then I came in and I got the part, and I was like, this is really cool. And then it wasn't until 10 minutes in when it went quiet and they said, are you Ben Starr from Final Fantasy? No, are you Clive from Final Fantasy 16? And they went, yes. And I said, yes, I am. They said, yes.
You're multiple.
Who was speaking? Everyone was speaking at the same time and no one understood a word. I explained that I was, and then there was a quiet and they went, that's quite cool. And we then kind of continued on. And then I actually came in a few more times. And I think it was kind of, they were testing me out for some stuff. And there are lines of me voicing some of the other characters as well. There's lines of me, voicing Minoko as well.
I'd love to hear that.
But I was hosting I was at the Golden Joysticks. I wasn't hosting the Golden Joysticks. I was at the Golden Joysticks, and I was speaking to the team, and I think I got the offer to play Verso not long after. And it was great. It was this really great feeling because the project felt so special. And working in secret for such a long time was something that looked so good. What you're seeing now is essentially what we saw back then. Now, I think having never seen it before and thinking this world is so incredibly special, and the pitch document as well. I think the art style of this game is incredible. Just the pitch document alone of like summing up not just the world, but the complexity of these characters and what they're going to go through. And Verso, if you're watching this, you probably haven't, you don't know much about him right now, but there is so much to all of these characters, and it was so exciting. And you're right. How do you follow up a role that's changed your life? It's like, well, this, and it fell into our laps. We weren't offered it. No. We had to audition like every other person, and it just turned into this really wonderful family. Really, we've been to Montpellier. We've been to the manor. In Montpellier. We've met the team. We've met Minoko, the dog. Like they were there. Like Guillaume and Jen were there the whole time in our recording process. They took us out for dinner. This doesn't happen in games. Often it's so anonymous, but it's been amazing. And Jen and I have become incredibly close because of this. Yeah. And everyone working on this game has, and it is a tiny team. There's like 30 people. Obviously there's people outside in Kepler and stuff, but the development team, they're in all these little rooms in the manor, and it's crazy. It's a labor of love made by people who love video games and specifically love this genre.
Yeah, you can really tell that love from all angles really does spew into this game. It's filled with so much like care and passion and just love. So hearing all these stories behind the scenes, I'm like, yep, I can just see exactly how this has all just come together to make Expedition 33 like what it is. Yeah. And it just makes me feel like, go on team,
go
like,
on
yeah,
team.
like it's so awesome.
Right?
They are. It is the true underdog story. There are so few of them. I can't tell you. Like, this is the tiniest team, and what they've achieved with just no money or manpower. Like, it's just woman power. They met on Reddit, right? Like a lot of them. Did they meet on Reddit forums? I think that's how Jen got involved. Jen, right? Like Nicholas, Lorian. So Nicholas, the art director, got to give a shout out. Oh, the art in this game. Art is insane. And we saw a really early prototype. When they showed us the old prototype of what I think the three of them started out with, and they got Nicholas on board, and it's just what he did was to transform this world and turn it into what it looks like now. Yeah. And if you go into the manor, they've had like the big, the massive paintings done, and it's just so stunning, that world. The manor is exactly what you hope it would be. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's just, it's so right for them. And they're there just like creating this like genius art in all these different rooms. And what was the game that we played? We went out the back and there Pétanque. Bien sûr. We were very bad at pétanque. Awful. Yeah. What's pétanque? Yeah, what is this? Just throwing stuff. It's just throwing. It's like French balls. Yeah, we did badly. Don't ask what it was about. It is French balls, right? It's where you throw and you got to hit and you got to knock people. It's balls. And we turned up and we were like, we'll have a go. And there are people who've played pétanque for the entire development. Every day. And you can tell, and they're like throwing it in the air and spinning it and like knocking stuff off. And you're like, and being cruel to each other in a really funny way. Yeah. It's great. It's family. Bit of family. Pétanque banter. Yeah. Well, Minoko the dog just wandering around. Yeah. This sort of leads into what I wanted to ask you next, which was how this experience of working on Expedition 33 with a smaller team, as you say, and they are an underdog, I guess.
especially when you compare them to the likes of Larian and Square Enix, you know, massive studios, huge pedigree, hundreds of people making these incredible games. Do you feel, I guess, and I think you've already answered it, do you feel like an intimacy with the team, more of a closeness with the team? How does it compare to working on something massive and AAA like Baldur's Gate? How does it compare to this?
Well, like you said, Ben, like we were there with Jen and Guillaume the whole time. They were in every single one of our sessions, and it just meant that we were. It was just very collaborative, very cohesive. It felt like this weird little family, and you know, we got to go to dinner with everyone. We went to Montpellier. We really got to know the developers, and it just means that the passion was it was more concentrated. Do you know what I mean? It was it was really important for us.
They made us feel really valued, and that's not really for our ego. It's just that we felt like we were having a say in the creation of these characters. It also really needs to be said that there's an amazing French team who did the motion capture for this, and so we are building on top of work that people have already worked on, and like Maxence, who does the motion capture for Gustave and Verso, he plays Esquier in the game, and it's really amazing how they've really kept everyone involved in this process, and everyone is so proud of being together, and there is a level of community that I haven't experienced in a game before because of the intensity, and I think when you play it, you're going to recognize the love and care and attention to it. Like it's I have a video that Guillaume illegally made. By illegally, he said it's illegal, but like he is the creative director.
He's in charge of this
some
game.
of the characters walking around the overworld map before it had been announced, with the music with Blue Fields from Final Fantasy VIII playing at the top of it, because he's a massive Final Fantasy VIII fan like me, and he went, "This is going to blow your mind," because I'd wanted to see the overworld map for so long. It was one of the first questions I asked was, "Do you have an overworld map?" And he went, "Do we?" And it blew my mind, and the fact that they would also just send us, and this doesn't happen in games. They'd send us like the unfinished, like quite rough cut sequences that we'd just done, and it was like, to show you the work that you contributed to this project. We want you to know this is what you've done, and this is how it's affecting it, and it was so cool to see.
This never happens, by the way. Like, I've never experienced this before, where we've had such a direct line with the big bosses, I suppose, but they never felt like big bosses. No. Like, we are incredibly rude to them.
We were just insulting Guillaume before we came on.
I was actually going to say, like, you've just been like, "Oh, this is an illegal video. We're going to get messages now being like, delete that from this now, take it down."
He knows about it. He knows about it. But yeah, we were just messaging him, slagging him off just before we came on. Yeah. He's great. He's great. They all the team are wonderful, and it feels like by inviting us in intimately in that way to the creative process, it means that we just have more of a say in it, and it matters. It really matters.
Again, it's passion squared.
It is passion squared.
So let's talk about your characters then, as much as we can without spoiling anything.
Yes.
I want to start with you, Jennifer. We meet Maël very early on in the game. If you've been following the trailers for the game, you'll know that there's this quite tragic setting to this, where the paintress awakens every year. She paints a number, and everyone who's above that age dissipates, Thanos style. The gommage. Yes, like I said, incredibly sort of traumatic opening. And people who are about to have their gommage happen in a year's time, they go out on an expedition to try and defeat the paintress, but ultimately it feels like no one's going on the expedition with any kind of expectation that it's going to succeed. It reminds me a lot of the Summoner's Pilgrimage in Final Fantasy X. But Maël is a bit of an outsider in that, is that she's, I believe, only 15 years old, 16 years old. She has like 9 years ahead of her before her gommage, but she chooses to go on this expedition. So I'd really love to hear your thoughts, Jennifer, on the character of Maël, what it was like stepping into her shoes and how it feels to embody her.
She's a wonderful character. She's so young, and yet she's kind of got this. she feels like she's an old soul, which is that's a really lovely challenge to play, of playing someone so much younger than myself, a little bit younger than myself,
Only by a year or
only
two.
by a couple of years, but with this like kind of groundedness. But she felt like, to me, like a caged bird at the beginning. Like, she should not be on this island. She deserves this freedom, this adventure. And it's a character with, or so she feels, nothing to lose. And that's such an exciting thing to play. Like, someone who is just going, no, I am taking this risk. She's so brave. I think she's kind of the ultimate hero, really. Like this, I mean, you've got the like lovely, not cliche, but like you've got the kind of tale as old as time, like orphan. You know, she's got family, but she's got no ties, and that's just so exciting to play.
And how is it played? Because she has an interesting relationship with Gustav as well. It's almost like an older brother, younger sister sort of relationship. He feels very protective of her, but she's not someone, in my experience, I've played maybe 10 hours of the game, is not really someone who requires saving, I don't think.
No, not at all. There's no damsel in distress about her. And if you've seen her fight, there's definitely none of that. It's really lovely that they don't stop her. There's no parenting, really. It does feel very siblingy, and that's the correct term, right?
Yeah, that's an official term. Yeah,
Siblingy. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, and I really love that. I feel like we don't get enough brother sister relationship. Like, usually when it's a man and a woman, it's very like there's always romantic undertones, and I really love that it's just this pure friendship. It's just care.
Yes,
and I love that.
Yes, there's not to spoil anything specific, but a really powerful scene, I thought, between Gustav and Lune, just before he meets up with Maëlle, where he's, he basically says, I'm going to find Maëlle, I'm taking her back to the island, and Lune basically gives him a right old dressing down.
Yeah.
Says, that's not your choice to make.
Yeah.
But yeah, in combat as well, as soon as you get Maëlle in your party, like fighting with her is amazing. Like the virtuoso stance.
Just
it's
like
the
me
best
in
one.
real life. Yeah.
The virtuoso, literally every time I'm always just like, right, here we go. Give me that purple stance. That's what I just like to call it. I'm just like, here we go. Right now I'm ready. So it's great fun.
She's off.
Yeah.
Let her go. Let her rip.
And Ben, what can you tell us, without spoiling anything, you have to be very careful here, about Verso?
What can I say? I'm so excited for people to discover him as a character, and I feel like there should be within me more of an excitement, a rearing to go. But actually, I want people to take their time with this game.
Yeah,
I want people to really sink in and explore it on their own terms. If you can, go in blind, and see what he's about. It's so rewarding to get to play a character like this, and I think the mystery is the most exciting part of it, and how you discover him, and then as you continue to have encounters with him, how that kind of develops the story as a whole, I think is the most exciting part. And as with all good stories, we all know where we were in those moments when we play video games that truly surprise us and truly do things that we didn't expect. And I think that's the beauty of most stories that I've ever experienced. And I feel like I'm teasing you all here, but it's very, very cool to get to play a character with so many levels in a way that, having come off the back of a character who I believe is incredibly deep and has a lot of amazing, sits in a hero archetype in Clive, but has so many layers to peel back. How can I do that again with a character, but in a different way? And I think people don't want to see that again. And so Verso, I think, is quite literally the opposite of that. And I think that's the most exciting thing to get to do, and why I immediately said yes with the character.
So this is really interesting, because you've both spoken about your desire, I guess, to not be typecast in a way by these roles that you will rightfully be remembered for a long time in Shadowheart and Clive. I just find that interesting that your sort of like your motivations towards working on Expedition 33 are not just let's do some more video games, but it's trying to challenge yourselves as actors, I guess, as well.
Yeah, variety is really important, and I think, I think just as creatives, like whether you're an actor, an artist, a musician, I think it's really important to give yourself variety and challenge yourself, and play teenagers or hero archetypes, or whatever it is. I think fundamentally, though, for me, it was less like, oh, this character might be a bit different to Shadowheart. It was just, this art is amazing, and I want to be involved with this very beautiful project. It kind of, I think the thing that I've really loved about this, it doesn't feel from anyone that I've come across, and which is pretty much everyone now. I think we've met nearly everyone involved.
Yeah.
It's no one says, or is about, what can I get from this? Everyone feels like, what can I put into this? Whether that's the actors, the people that work in admin, the composer, like everyone is putting their everything into it. There doesn't seem to be very much ego. So it was less about that and more just this project. And I feel like it's the same for you, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to doing games now, it's, you want to do as many games as possible because you love doing them. But now sometimes I feel there is a level of responsibility to some of the games that we do, because if you put your name to something, we are very fortunate to have some very passionate fans. They're going to play this game based on your involvement in it. And so ultimately you want to deliver a product that is, or not a product, but a piece of art that is worthy of their time, and you put your name to it. And there is a level of responsibility. Ultimately, we are actors and we want to take work, and that's also fine. But we're here talking about this game right now because we believe in the work that we did, and we want people to come to this work. It's very easy for us not to do this and just kind of ignore a project that we did, but this is one that we're really, really, really proud of, and we want people to come to and involve themselves in, because we think that they're going to get something out of it, because people have put so much stuff into it. And so when picking games, it's like we do have a bit of a responsibility to pick the right ones and talk about these in a way that we're not snake oil salesmen. We believe in this. Now, it might not be for everyone, not all games are for everyone, but we believe in what we did and our contribution to it. And I think we've also witnessed the immense amount of work that the team have put in. Also, can I just give a shout out to the other actors as well? Because
the other actors are amazing.
Rich Keeble is absolutely amazing. Kirsty Ryder, Charlotte Nix, obviously Charlie and Andy, whatever. But like, they're
all right,
and so many other actors who we know about their involvement in them, whether we can say
I'm being so careful.
We're being so careful.
Am I allowed to say that? Are they in now?
Yeah, I think that has been mentioned, but I want other people to discover them as well.
Oh, there isn't a dud performance, I don't think. And we were really lucky in that we got to hear a lot of the other actors' work, and it just made the job so easy.
Yeah.
So easy. And I think it's okay to say there are scenes with Ben that I have. And I don't think that's a huge spoiler, right?
We say some words.
We're both in the game together.
We say some words to each other, and that's one of my favourite acting experiences is having Ben do the acting and me responding to that acting. And
we have some good scenes together as well. We have some really nice scenes.
I love them.
I was going to say, do you when you're like having a conversation, do you do it both together, or do you do your lines separately then, and then they just edit it together behind the scenes?
Yeah, so sometimes did I do most of my stuff before you? And you
it's half and half.
So sometimes, depending on our schedules, I'd have scenes with your stuff already down, and then I would do it to that, and then vice versa. It's really cool. It's so much easier having someone to act against.
so much easier.
It's so much easier. But I still think actually you can't really notice, but you just feel like you're working a lot harder, you know. But when you have someone who is giving, and I'm going to say this, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I think you are astonishing in this video game. Like,
well, ditto.
I do think you are.
Guys.
I keep saying this, like, I just think you are absolutely incredible in this game, and you are the driving force and the heart and soul of this game. And to be able to be a part of that and get to do scenes with you, as you are absolutely just killing it in every single scene.
Thank you.
It was such an honor to watch someone who clearly cares about their character so much knock it out of the park every single time.
Like, it's hard to be like right back. Oh my god, I can't talk.
It is actually hard. It is actually,
I'm
that's actually
like
quite hard to say.
blushing because I've been complimented and my brain is broken. But like, obviously, it's Ben Starr, like legend, and it genuinely. I really mean it when I say that those scenes were my favorite scenes. Like, there's such beautiful writing and performances going on in this game, and they're just tiny factors in the whole thing. But yeah, I loved it.
I also want to say that I think in the marketing's been super interesting for this game. So when it was first delivered to the audiences, there was this sense of overwhelming melancholy, and this, you know, you talk about the gommage and the journey and the expedition, but in more recent promos you've seen kind of a fun side of it. And like Rich Keeble as Monoko is absolutely hilarious, but also I think there is Esquier is an amazing character, and there are so many other characters that bring so many different dimensions and joy and fun, and I think that means that the game can even be even more heartbreaking because of how much joy exists in between those moments. And it isn't just this experience of sad. There is so much humanity here, and that's what will ultimately break your heart. Is because of how much joy there is in those moments. And shout out to Rich Keeble, just delivering just the coolest gestural you've ever seen.
So funny. So funny.
Never has a man had so much fun in a booth.
Yeah, right. You hear it. You hear the joy.
Ladies. So good.
Well, that is. I think I've met the Gestrels now, and that was the first time in the game where I was like, oh, a little breather, a little bit of, because it, you know, again, not going into specifics, it is a tough start for everyone in this game. The first 2 or 3 hours, it's bleak, and Gustav especially goes to some very dark places very quickly. But again, I know you've both complimented each other on your performances, and I'm probably going to sound a little bit sycophantic now, but I do think the acting in this game is phenomenal. Like some of the I've not got to you, Ben, yet, so I can't comment on whether you're good or not.
Well, Jen said I was great. So
I can vouch.
I swear I'm good. I swear.
But it is the story has hooked me like nothing else. You were talking about the art style as well earlier. It's rare now, having played games for over 30 years, to see something that feels like I've never seen anything like this before. Yeah. And I'm getting that feeling a lot in Expedition 33. Every time I get to a new area, and you mentioned the overworld, Ben, this is like, Guillaume obviously has mentioned that he's a big fan of Final Fantasy, big fan of Persona. It feels like it's made for fans of that type of game that had those overworld. The first time I saw the overworld, I almost did a little cry. I was like, I've not seen an overworld for so long. Yeah. And to see what an overworld looks like on PS5 versus what they used to look like on PS1, it's magical. It's just amazing.
When Ben got given this illegal video.
Illegal. The police were round my house.
I got a very excited phone call, and I was like, I haven't played these games yet. I will. So, you know, I was just like, cool.
Yeah, and it was.
But he was so excited.
I was, and it's like, I think the beauty is we have, through this whole process, Jen and I have been able to kind of share our excitement, and because Guillaume has been. Every time we begin sending like the cut sequences, we're like, have you seen this? Like, I've seen this. It looks amazing. And the music sounded amazing. And it's felt like this project has been alive for us so much because they wanted to share how excited they are about this game. And it does feel, as a fan of these games, as a fan having grown up with, you know, RPGs in the 1990s, early 2000s, and all the references are there. You know, you talk about Final Fantasy X, Lost Odyssey, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. that's where we are. It's about how did we feel. It's discovering that sense of nostalgia for a time that, you know, we haven't experienced in a while, and going, I remember what it was like to be a kid. And many of those people will have never experienced that. So it feels modern. The battle system is amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. Honestly, fantastic.
It's a wonderful balance as well, because we've also had our staff writer Connor. He said to me, because we've been messaging about it as well, like just our time with Expedition 33, and he was saying how he wasn't sure at first because he's not really a turn-based combat sort of player. He just never found them that interesting. But he said with this one, because it's also got the real-time elements in it as well, he was just completely hooked on it. So for this is also a gateway for him into this whole genre that he might have never have delved into before, because, you know, maybe he'll play Final Fantasy X now. Connor, you should play Final Fantasy X.
I think it's got such a lineage of games, but you know, they've said Sekiro is an inspiration.
Literally, I just finished Sekiro and playing it. I'm just like, the rhythm of it. It feels like I haven't gone away from the whole rhythmic element of the game. So literally hearing you saying that, I'm like, I've been thinking this.
Love
Like,
that.
And I thought the art style had this real kind of like Souls-like element to it.
Yeah.
Before this game had come out, and you know, the way I would describe it is Final Fantasy by way of kind of a warped Miyazaki art style, and it feels so right. And obviously we have Miss Elden Ring herself right here.
Miss Elden Ring.
Miss Elden
I'm
Ring.
not Miss Elden.
You are Miss
I'm
Elden
a very
Ring.
good summons, okay?
That's how you introduce yourself to me. It's been amazing to see something that feels like it's been inspired by so many things still have its own individual identity.
It's a love letter. It's a love letter, but it's also, yes, as you say, completely original. And I love that. I really feel the love for it all.
Do you know
yeah.
what you don't get to do is you don't really get to originate characters that often, and you certainly don't get to originate characters in new IP that often. So to have it, it's really cool. New
exciting.
games don't come along, and certainly new IPs don't come along. And I'm so excited to see where this goes. We're at the beginning of this journey. I'm sure I'll look back on this or listen back to this podcast like a year's time, being like, oh yeah, you know, that's where it went. And I'm excited to see where the journey goes.
It certainly feels like we're on the cusp of something that could be really special here. Like I don't think I've played a game that has hooked me this much or captured my imagination this much, having been, like you said, a new IP, not a sequel to something, not something I've been looking forward to for years, but something I had my eye on ever since I saw the first trailer, and now it's here, and I'm like, oh my god, it is actually as good as they promised. It almost feels too good to be true sometimes. How did a team of 30 people make this?
Right.
Like it really is incredible. I wanted to ask you both, because you've talked a little bit about it, just what the day-to-day experience is of working on a game as an actor on Expedition 33, because as I imagine a lot of our audience are like intrigued to know what it is like to act in a video game. There's that, you know, there's the expectation, I guess, that you're just locked in a sound booth and it's quite an isolating experience, but you've talked about, you know, being shown scenes. Like, what is the creative process like?
Go, Ben.
The creative process is long. It takes a while. We would go in traditionally into sessions of like 4 hours. And with this game, because everyone was so hands-on, we would go into the studio. We recorded at Side UK. Thank you, Side.
Thank you, Side.
And we would go into the booth, and there would probably be about 4 or 5 people with the engineer, alongside the engineer, and then we would have our setup for the day, and we would just kind of go through stuff, and we would see these cut sequences which had been beautifully animated already.
Yep.
And I'd look at them
And mocapped, yeah.
and fully.
Is that a
mocapped.
rare thing in voice acting, to be able to see the scene fully fleshed out in front of you?
It really depends on the
varies.
project. Yeah, there is no universal way of making a video game, and certainly voicing one, because you know on Baldur's Gate you did a huge amount of mocap for that. But on Final Fantasy 16, I did a very similar thing to what I did here, which is, you know, essentially seeing something that had already been motion captured, and then me doing words alongside it. So this was very familiar ground to me. And whereas in Final Fantasy, they were capturing my facial movements for it. This one, there was something a little bit different in the way that Unreal 5 works, and the way that they could manipulate a lot of the stuff that we were doing. And it would be a 4-hour session, and maybe we'd come in for like 3 times a week 4-hour sessions. It would be just me, and then I'd tag out, and then I'd high five Jen and
Pass the baton.
And we'd chat for we'd gossip for way too long. Sometimes we'd sit in on each other's sessions.
Yeah.
And be like, impress me. And then there'd be some time off, and then they would do some more stuff, and then we would come back and do more, maybe a couple of weeks later, and that would go on for a few months. And and then we'd sit on it for ages. Couldn't talk about it.
And just want to talk about it. It's so hard. And DVs are really hard.
They are really hard. But how was it for you, the difference between?
Do you know what I will say? I think it's so much harder than when you're having to match your voice to pre-existing animation. I personally think it's so much harder because you're having to act with these kind of boundaries. You have to do it in time. You have to match someone else's movement, and all the while giving this very, hopefully, emotional and real performances, truthful performance. So it was a really juicy challenge. I have recorded like that before, but not on this scale. And yeah, as I say, we were really lucky in that most of or half of the time you would have other actors' voices to act opposite. But it's a very emotional journey, and you have to do it reasonably quickly.
Yeah.
As well, you have to jump from big scene to big scene, and there's no rest time, and that's why I do think that video game acting is the Olympics of acting, because you've got no downtime on set, You've got no rehearsals, you've got no other actor there most of the time. And yet you have to make this fully fleshed out, very cinematic performance, which these performances are. And you have to do it very quickly.
And also quite pared back.
Yeah.
Like you see, the scene that you spoke about earlier, I think has resonated with a lot of people, which is the scene with Charlie and Kirsty, Lune and Gustav. Because I think it's such a human scene.
Yes.
It feels so real and raw, and it does. And I mean this with the great respect to the medium that I adore. It doesn't feel like a video game, and that's really what they wanted. And Guillaume would always push for us to just throw it away more, like almost don't care about it, because this is a story that is about characters first and world second. If you want to discover more about the world, you can continue to, but through the vessel of these characters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like we're spoon feeding you lore. The lore is there to be discovered, but the characters are not the way that you do that. Well, the characters are the way that you do that, but they're not going to say, wow, look at this thing that's happening. It's always about through, as you've seen, like discovering other expeditions and stuff like that. And it feels like it's very, very deliberate. And they're almost holding stuff back. And when we were directed to perform, it was that same thing about hold a little bit back. Don't give too much away. And so there are some really, really powerful scenes later on in the game, which I'm so proud to have been able to work on because of that. And we were told to do it in the room. How much advance warning do you get? Very little. Turn up, have a look, and then instinctively go with that. Yeah. And that's why you have to be really paired with the character correctly, because it's like, do I have a handle on verso? Yes, great, go and do this scene now. Whoa, that's a lot. I'll throw myself in. And more often than not, it kind of works, and you're getting first or second takes from us, really, on some of these scenes. And I'm so proud of that work.
It's like a lot of work to get to the place where you can just trust your gut. But that takes years of practice, frankly, really a hell of a lot. And now we kind of get to the point where we can be trusted with that.
Yeah, it isn't just us like having a go. It's you've got to the point where you've done all the training, and then you do the auditions, and you're paired with the characters correctly. And I think that's a testament to the way they cast it, where everyone is perfect for their characters. And again, I think Kirsty Ryder is so good in this game. She's amazing. Everyone's performance, I would see back and go, God, they are so excellent at this. It's so brilliantly cast. It feels so honest. It doesn't feel like anyone's putting something on. It feels like they are the right person for the right role.
Does it give you extra motivation when you're doing your own performance, when you see everyone else knocking it out of the park?
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to be the dud.
You got it. Oh, we're in this game. oh, this is the game that we're playing, and you don't want to be the rubbish one.
Absolutely not.
Literally hearing you guys talk about, like, you know, saying how, oh, you can do some of your takes first time. I'm literally sat here thinking on Access we do the PlayStation Store update, and I'm like, God, the amount of takes I take sometimes just to talk about a video game. Meanwhile, you're like, yeah, some of these emotional performances usually. I'm just like, mad respect.
I think that's it. That's it. Is like, it's in this game, because you're allowed to be messy and it's so human. It's like we get all the grunts and the sniffs and the coughs and all that stuff. Just keep it in because it feels really real to the character. What you do, I think, is way harder.
So much harder.
Way
so
harder.
much harder. No, it genuinely is. I don't know about you.
Classic humble actors.
No, but
Tried
like,
to be modest here.
no, but we I presented Future Games Showcase right after Ben and was watching, literally studying how Ben was doing it because I was like, I've got to do this right. And they were like, oh yeah, you know, we'll do a couple of takes, and I'd be there like fourth take, like, and like myself, bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Why can I not say these words?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, I could not.
Yeah, presenting and doing what you guys do, I think, is a ridiculous skill. And I've kind of dabbled in it recently, doing stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this is hard.
You had the golden joysticks in the palm of your hand.
Yeah,
Ben
you
Starr.
did.
You
Ben
really did.
Starr.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
He knows.
I was amazing.
No, but you did it. You
Yeah.
did it.
You did it. You
had
did
it. You had the audience just there with you.
Thank you.
It was great.
Yeah.
We should talk about Expedition 33 more. You've mentioned about, you know, the emotional scenes sometimes that you have to do. Obviously, you've both played characters that have been through the emotional ringer before. And you've mentioned how you maybe weren't given like a big heads up if you're going to do like a particularly intense emotional scene. Again, being careful of spoilers, were there any instances recording Expedition 33 that stick in your memory as like, oh man, that was an intense day?
It was mostly intense days.
Right.
Yeah, I can't say which scene it is, but there's a few.
Yep.
That just spring to mind, and yeah, I would leave and just go into a dark room and not talk to anyone for a few hours afterwards. The writing in this game is next level. Like, and honestly, we're just so lucky. Like, I don't want to be too #blessed, but we're just so lucky to have been
#humble.
Hashtag humble, #grateful, #blessed, #Ben Starr. But we're so lucky to be given this kind of material that we can do that we can go, right, I'm going to go to the depths of my soul today and cry.
Or when Guillaume, before recording, he went, Ben, this is my favourite scene. Please don't screw it up. And I was like, okay. And I think because you knew how much work went into the crafting of these scenes beforehand, there was a level of respect you had to give that. And I think I know which scenes you're talking about. So cool. So cool. And I'm the little weirdo who watches all the streamers play it. So I always jump on people's streams. If you do, I'll probably be watching. Especially when you get to certain.
Creepy at all.
I could have done it in a weird way, a normal way, but in a weird way. I can't wait for people to get to some of those scenes and see them and to see the full reaction of what it is, because I feel like it's a story that deserves to be experienced in that way for the first time and not be spoiled.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I've got a really silly question, but
Ask
it's
a
always
silly question.
No.
We
There's
like
always
silly
like
questions.
literally, I'd be like, Rob's the professional and I'm here just being stupid. But like, whenever like running around the open world, you always have your characters running, and your characters always get out of breath. Apart from Lune, because she
floats everywhere.
She floats everywhere.
Love her.
She doesn't need to run. But do you guys actually, like, to get yourself in an exhausted state, please tell me that just in your recording room you just run around in circles for a little bit. Like, do you
Obviously.
actually do that?
There's a lot of jumping.
Yes!
I get really sweaty, and then I'm like, I'm really sorry, Ben, you're going to have to go into the studio now, having me going, jumping
Just
up and
wiping
down.
your sweat all over the
Yeah,
place.
just like rub my armpit everywhere.
Do you ever get I get lightheaded when it's
I get so lightheaded.
because you're not actually, so you're going, and if you do that, obviously you're getting
Your oxygen,
hyperventilating.
yeah.
It's not healthy.
It's really not. It's probably not very
healthy.
good for you.
Acting in video games is really, really intense, especially when you're doing really intense scenes over and over and over again. And because you're essentially putting your body through trauma. Because, if you're shouting or tensing, all your body is tensing up to get a sound that is an accurate facsimile of real life. You have to put your body through those things.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is, someone asked me, like, what, by your metric, what's a good voice acting performance or a good video game acting performance? And how can you tell if something's good or not? And I always listen for texture. Texture is what I listen to, whether I can actually feel and sense the reality of that performance in the world itself. And so a good voice or performance is allowing that performance to make me feel like I'm actually in the world. And I don't know how else to describe it, but texture is it. It doesn't have to be the cleanest thing. It can be dirty. It just has to feel real. And I think that's something that we kind of getting away with, why we don't have to do like perfect takes and them to be worth it, because that's what we're trying to bring, is kind of a dirtiness to the world that makes it feel like it's lived in and real.
It's so physical, and you have to. It's why I never call it voice acting. I would call it video game acting. But I've never called it voice acting because A, we do mocap half the time, but B, you have to get your whole body involved. You're not just sat on a stool doing silly voices. You are there living it, and it's you're playing with stakes that are so much higher than your soaps or your like everything is life or death usually, and involving lots of monsters usually. So
and you're right. Voice is a part of it. It's a very, very important part of it, but all the parts are really important to it. You can do, if you're giving a video game performance, chances are you're doing some mocap, which will be a large portion of it, or you're giving facial capture on top of it, and then you might go into the booth and you will do some, what we call wild or party chat or stuff like that, which changes it up. And it's all different aspects and disciplines that are required in order to give what you would see in a game as a rounded performance. And voice is one very important aspect of it, but it's how your physical presence alters how your voice sounds or how your face sounds. I can't tell you how difficult it is to face act. It is so hard when you have all of these cameras looking at your face and being like, you need to look astonished. And you're like, oh, how? And it's a hard thing to do.
That's why being long-sighted is really useful, because for me, because you have the camera right in front of you, that's just blurry. So I can completely zone it out.
That's cool.
Yeah, being nearly.
That's why you're so mysterious.
So mysterious.
What's she looking at? Literally nothing.
Honestly, nothing. I've got no idea.
Well, now I know
idea
if I ever get into a point of that in the future, I will just try and just have everything phase out in front.
Soft focus, baby. Soft.
But then when they say like be angry, I'll just be like, just staring into nothingness, because I forget that I have to actually do things.
So mysterious. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
What a pared back performance.
Wow.
Nuance.
Do you have days where, like, do they segment the type of performance you do into like specific days? So today we're doing an emotional performance, or do you have like a combat and traversal noises day where you're just like grunting and going all day?
Do you want to talk about the day? Because we
The day.
The day. Like, what,
no,
which day?
I know which day. Ben? We did so many days. Be more specific.
I live in very many days in my life.
One of the days that we did, Jen,
Yes, Ben.
was when we had to do all the French words.
Oh my God, the French words.
Oh, please tell me about the
The French words. And my mouth doesn't make those noises.
Well, you had a whole day just for the French side of things.
There was a day when we had to do a lot of kind of various characters. Everyone kind of came in and we did the French noises, and every now and again we would have to make the French words, and because
and the French names, because they're all French.
And they're all French, and there is an authenticity to this because it's made by a French company. And again, if you don't want to play it in English, you can play it in French. There is an amazing French version of it, and please go and play it in as many different versions as you can, because so many people contributed to these characters. But we also had to do some words in French. And
what do you mean some? So many.
So many words. And I would end up saying to Guillaume, I'm sorry, I can't say that word. I want to say Francois, right?
Francois.
But it's Francois.
Francois.
You're so good at it.
Oh, ouais.
In combat, didn't you have to say something?
Do you know what? I think
You're
from
the
the
best.
fact that Guillaume didn't complain too much, and Guillaume is a very honest man.
He is.
It was mostly okay, or he was just being kind. I'm not sure. But there was one word, and it is a swear word, so I don't know if I'm allowed to
Is
say
it in
or not,
French?
But it's in French.
I say it, yeah.
Putain.
Putain.
Putain. But it was, you know that bit in Friends where Phoebe tries to teach
Yes.
Joey French? It was that. Like, I was literally going, putain, 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 no, putain. And I'm like, I just said it. Exactly like you just said it.
Yeah.
What are you on about, Guillaume? Shut up, Guillaume.
Mine was.
I love you, Guillaume.
Mine was Lune.
Lune.
Yeah, and I'd say it, and he'd go, "No, Lune." I'm like, "I just said it.
I just said that.
And you're trying to give this really emotional performance, and you're in the middle of you're in the middle of a speech or whatever, and you have to say a character's name, and you just say it incorrectly, and you're like, I said it fine.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was really fun because it's very rarely to get put outside your comfort zone, and it was a really frustrating and joyful experience at the same time. And the fact that you had Guillaume there who was so committed to making it exactly correct, and he would tell you if it wasn't right. And so basically we knew that if it was okayed by Guillaume, it was going in the game and it was fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't go in. And so you felt like at least there was a safety net there because he just wasn't letting anything pass. And Jen was the same. And they had this amazing dynamic of Jen is this beautiful, creative powerhouse of just, and Guillaume is, pardon?
I said thanks, Ben Starr.
Oh, not you.
Oh, Jen with two N's.
Yeah.
I was there like, I'm a powerhouse. Yeah.
Sorry.
Jen with two N's.
Jen the writer. Jen the writer is nearly as a creative powerhouse as Jennifer English, the astonishing actor. You happy now?
That was brilliant.
Are you happy now? Okay. I think Jennifer English is one of the greatest actors
Okay, slow it down,
of her generation.
slow it down. You've done too much. You've gone too far.
I think her performance as Maëlle is generational. But they were these beautiful, again talking about textures, of like two really great creative textures that kind of came together to make us feel really safe. And so we could like say French words really badly for a long time and not feel like we're useless.
Yeah, absolutely. Jen, what she's done, and
Talking about yourself now.
Jen with two N's. Jennifer said Svedbergian, the writer, the lead writer. They're both. No, wait.
I don't know what the official title is. They're both
They're both
good.
They're both. I don't want to get it wrong. They're both amazing. She did. She created this atmosphere, didn't she?
Yeah.
Of safety and like one of the most intelligent people you've ever met, and just this fountain of knowledge and knows. And so passionate about the work and just knew everything. And I mean, she did create it, so you'd hope. But like you would ask a question and you would just get this eloquent, in detailed response, and you'd be like, cool, I was just enamored by your passion and I forgot to listen.
I didn't listen to anything you said.
Yeah, but the way you said it was so good. That was generally how it went with them.
Yeah, we just felt really safe. Also, shout out to Joe.
Lovely
He
Joe.
was our performance director.
Yeah.
Like just again, surrounded by beautiful people who had beautiful dogs. So many good dogs. It was just it's been a joy. And again, the reason we're here talking about this game is because we believe in it, and the process has been so. I got to hang out with you loads.
I got to know Ben Starr because of it. It was great.
We're great friends now.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up then, because we are unfortunately out of time, I could absolutely talk about this game all day. We're going to go and play it in a minute as well. But and this is a classic end of the podcast broad question.
Yeah.
If you had one memory that you will take with you from your experience making Expedition 33, what would it be?
My memory of making this was the first time meeting you properly at the British Academy of Film and Television Arts building. BAFTA. And do you remember we met in the bar and we went, we're in the same game, aren't we? And we both went, I think it's really good. And it was that moment where I met you and I went, this is the beginning of something really, really special.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are still at the kind of the genesis of that moment. But it was really beautiful. And I think making stuff is amazing, but also making friends along the way. It's such an RPG thing, but it's true. Like that's what it is. And being able to create relationships that are meaningful out of the art that you do is way cooler.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it genuinely has become a family, and I don't want to be too like gross and cheesy about it, but I think also being in Montpellier, and being with Ben, and they even brought Aliona, my girlfriend, along, and like meeting everyone and just going, guys, this is fantastic.
Do you remember when they let us watch all the cut sequences?
Yeah.
We were sitting on a big sofa in the manor, and we were sitting on a sofa, not pretty much like this, in front of a massive screen with the all the speakers around, and we were just watching like these epic cut sequences. We're like, oh wow, this is so cool.
And didn't Aliona cry?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're very good in the game.
So are you. I think it was us.
Is
It's a collective.
is that a rare thing? To
What?
be able to just, be brought into a room by the people who've made the game and you get to sit down and you get to watch all the cutscenes? Because
Yeah.
I don't know how...
That would never happen.
That would never happen.
No.
No, and it's not because other companies are horrible, and
No, not
it's
at
just
all.
it's just that there are so many boundaries between actors and production companies or development companies or devs, and there's actually something that I know this probably podcast is running long, but I think it is something that is why I feel so lucky to be at this point in my career alongside you. Is one thing that we're trying to do different as performers is to say that we can be of value to the development team and allow us into the creative process, and we can help you talk about your games, and also we can help you be a part of the process. And Sandfall are, I really think, a part of this new generation of devs, bringing in actors to help them be a part of that process. We're not asking to make creative decisions, but allow us the creative freedom within that small little sphere that we have to help and be a part of it. And it makes us feel more involved in a process that otherwise actors up until now haven't been able to feel. I feel like when you're in America, a lot of American actors have had that, but in the UK, because of the way things are set up, often that isn't possible. But Sandfall have just been incredible.
Amazing. Wow. Rosie, was there anything else you wanted to ask before we wrap things up?
No, I just want to say, I think this whole podcast episode, a big theme of what I picked up is that video games are cool, but friends and family are even cooler. It's all about the friendships you make along the way. It's just been so lovely to chat to you guys and to see
So
just
lovely
like,
to chat to you.
yeah, like genuinely, like your love for this project and also the friendship that you guys have made throughout your time with this game as well. Like, it's just so wonderful to be in the presence of so much love. It's just so awesome.
Yeah. Also, Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox are fine.
They're okay.
They're fine. They're
They're
fine
okay.
in it or whatever. I don't know. They're only
No,
giving
they are.
incredible
They are
performances.
absolutely fantastic.
They are so
really,
good.
really good.
Wow. What a lovely, wholesome end to the podcast. Ben, Jennifer, it has been a genuine delight speaking to you. If you are not looking forward to Expedition 33, you absolutely need to be having it on your radar. You've got to play it. If you're a fan of RPG or just games that are brilliant, you have to check out Expedition 33. As I said, we're about to take a small break after this podcast ends, and then we'll be recording a very cool Let's Play recording that you will be able to see on the YouTube channel hopefully in the coming week, so please stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we will be back in another 2 weeks for the next episode of the PlayStation Access podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
PlayStation